Imagine this: you're out in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by silence so deep it feels like the world has forgotten you exist. The wind whispers through the trees, the stars are your only witnesses, and the isolation is both thrilling and unnerving. It's the perfect setup for a peaceful escape, or so you think. But what happens when that silence is interrupted by something you can't explain? A sound, a shadow, or even a presence that sends a chill down your spine. What would you do if your peaceful solitude turned into a night you'll never forget, and not for the reasons you hoped? This isn't fiction. These are real stories, moments that began as ordinary adventures and spiraled into something far more unsettling. You'll hear of people who thought they were alone, only to find they weren't. You'll follow accounts of unexplained phenomena that left seasoned explorers and everyday individuals questioning their reality. Every sound, every flicker of movement, each detail will pull you deeper into the mystery. As we explore these chilling encounters, you'll start to wonder how much of what we perceive as normal is simply because we haven't yet seen the other side? Could the unknown be closer than we think, waiting to reveal itself when we least expect it? Prepare yourself for a journey into the eerie, the unexplainable, and the downright terrifying. Because once you hear these stories, you might find yourself questioning what's really out there when the lights go out. Picture this: a pitch-black road winding through the dense woods, no streetlights, no signs of life, just you, your car, and the suffocating grip of the unknown. The hum of your engine feels louder than it should, and every shadow outside your window seems to shift and move, playing tricks on your already heightened senses. Then, out of nowhere, your headlights catch someone, standing by the side of the road. A figure, soaked to the bone, their outline faint against the inky darkness. Your heart skips a beat. You instinctively slow down, unsure whether to stop or keep driving. Something about the way they're standing, the way their head tilts ever so slightly, feels wrong. Your instincts scream at you to keep going, to put distance between you and whatever that is. But curiosity tugs at your mind. Are they hurt? Do they need help? Or is this a trap, a trick, the beginning of something much worse? This isn't just a story, it happened. And what unfolded next is enough to make anyone second guess stopping for a stranger in the middle of the night. The figure on the roadside wasn't just lost, they were missing, with no memory of how they ended up there. The details surrounding their mysterious appearance are as chilling as the encounter itself. When daylight broke, the truth became even stranger. Signs of a struggle, footprints leading to and from the water, and the haunting realization that this person had emerged from the depths of the river with no explanation of how or why. It's a moment that leaves you questioning everything: what happened that night, and what else might be lurking out there, just beyond the reach of the headlights. Sometimes, the scariest thing isn't what you see, it's what you can't explain. The night was still, the air heavy with a kind of tension that only comes in complete silence. A lone car drove down an unlit road in Belmont, Michigan, a remote area where the darkness seemed to stretch endlessly in every direction. Inside the vehicle, the driver's heart began to pound as their headlights illuminated something ahead. There, on the side of the road, was the figure of a woman, drenched, her movements jerky and unnatural. Every instinct screamed to keep driving, but a pang of concern tugged at their conscience. Could she be hurt? Lost? Was this a trap? The driver slowed down just enough to get a better look but kept moving, unable to shake the feeling that something was terribly off. As they passed, the woman's wet hair clung to her face, her hands gripping an object that she swung over her head in erratic motions. Her eyes never left the car. Terrified but determined to help, the driver called the police, providing every detail they could about the strange encounter. 5 deputies arrived at the scene shortly after and found the woman kneeling on the ground, her clothes soaked and her body trembling. She couldn't explain how she had ended up there or what had happened to her. She was utterly disoriented, her memory a void. What could reduce a person to such a state? The next day, the driver returned to the spot, haunted by the woman's image. As they inspected the area, they discovered disturbing clues: a trail leading from a nearby river, faint footprints in the mud, and a strange indentation where it seemed someone had fallen. The pieces began to form a chilling picture. The woman had emerged from the river, confused and desperate. But why? What had brought her there in the dead of night, and what had she been running from? Then came the revelation that left the driver frozen. The woman was a missing person from Kalamazoo, reported lost days earlier. She had no memory of how she traveled to Belmont, or how she ended up in the river. The story raised more questions than answers, a mystery shrouded in water and darkness. While the police ensured she received the help she needed, the driver was left to wonder. What horrors had she endured? And what was she fleeing from that night, deep in the shadows of that remote Michigan road? It was a peaceful afternoon in the Russian wilderness, the kind of quiet that only comes from being miles away from civilization. A father and son were out exploring, armed with nothing but their camera and a sense of adventure. What started as a typical day quickly turned into something extraordinary, something that neither of them would ever forget. The father noticed it first, a strange movement in the distance, just beyond the tree line. It was subtle at first, almost easy to dismiss as an animal, or a trick of the light. But then it moved again, swift, deliberate, and undeniably large. Whatever it wasn't an animal they were used to seeing. The son, holding the camera, focused in on the figure as it darted between the trees. They began to follow, moving carefully but unable to suppress their growing excitement and fear. The creature was tall, its long arms swinging as it moved with an unnatural speed and grace. It didn't seem to notice them, or if it did, it showed no sign of caring. The father whispered to his son to keep filming, his voice trembling slightly. As they got closer, the creature's details became more apparent, its hunched posture, the length of its limbs, the way it used its arms for balance as it moved. This wasn't a bear, nor was it a human. It was something entirely different. The father tried to reassure his son that they were safe, but even he couldn't shake the feeling that they were getting too close to something they couldn't fully understand. The encounter lasted only minutes, but it felt like hours. The creature finally disappeared into the dense forest, leaving the father and son standing there, their hearts pounding and their minds racing. When they later reviewed the footage, their suspicions were confirmed. This was no ordinary animal. The blurry, shaky video still captured enough to show the creature's size, its unique movement, and its haunting presence. The video went viral, quickly becoming known as the Russian Bigfoot footage. Experts and skeptics alike pored over every frame, analyzing the way the creature moved, its proportions, and its apparent awareness of its surroundings. Was this the elusive Bigfoot, or some other creature unknown to science? Or was it a carefully orchestrated hoax, designed to spark curiosity and debate? To this day, no definitive explanation has been found. The father and son's story remains a compelling mystery, a testament to the allure of the unknown and the unshakable feeling that something extraordinary might still be hiding in the uncharted corners of our world. It was a serene day in Beijing's Safari Park, where visitors could drive through the vast expanse and observe animals roaming freely. Among the visitors was a family, a husband, wife, and the wife's mother, taking in the peaceful environment from the comfort of their car. They were on a leisurely trip, hoping to create cherished memories, unaware of the chilling events that were about to unfold. The park had one simple but crucial rule: never exit your vehicle under any circumstances. It was plastered on signs throughout the park, a warning that most visitors took to heart. However, as with many seemingly small decisions, the consequences of ignoring that rule would prove devastating. An argument broke out between the couple as they navigated the park. Tempers flared, and in a moment of frustration, the wife opened her car door and stepped outside. She intended to switch seats with her husband, but her actions were noticed by something far more dangerous than any argument: one of the park's. It was a quiet day in 2015 when a video surfaced online, sparking a whirlwind of debates, theories, and curiosity among enthusiasts of the unexplained. Dubbed the Russian Bigfoot video. This grainy footage, captured by what appears to be a father and son exploring the dense wilderness of Russia, quickly became one of the most talked about pieces of evidence in the cryptid community. The video begins with the pair walking cautiously through the thick forest, the crunch of leaves and the distant sounds of wildlife setting an eerie tone. Suddenly, their camera catches a glimpse of something moving in the distance. At first, it's hard to make out, a large, shadowy figure weaving between the trees with surprising agility. The movements are deliberate yet fluid, too fast and calculated to be a bear, and far too large to be human. The father and son whisper in hushed tones, their voices filled with a mix of awe and apprehension as they attempt to keep the creature in sight. At one point, the figure pauses briefly, standing upright, revealing a towering form with disproportionately long arms that almost touch the ground. Its powerful stride and the distinct way it uses its arms while moving quickly through the terrain defy explanation. Even at a distance, its sheer size is enough to send a shiver down your spine. As the figure disappears deeper into the wilderness, the pair cautiously follow, their camera struggling to keep up. The footage becomes shakier, capturing brief glimpses of the mysterious being before it vanishes entirely into the dense forest. Despite the low resolution, certain details stand out: the exaggerated length of its limbs, the peculiar way it seems to blend into its surroundings, and the unmistakable sense of intelligence in its movements. The video's authenticity has been hotly debated since its release. Skeptics argue it could be an elaborate hoax, pointing to the grainy quality and the all-too-convenient timing of the sighting. Supporters, however, see it as one of the most compelling pieces of evidence yet, a rare glimpse of a creature that has eluded humanity for centuries. They analyze the footage frame by frame, highlighting the natural flow of its movements and the lack of any visible seams or signs of a costume. What makes this sighting even more intriguing is the setting. Russia's vast and largely unexplored wilderness provides an ideal habitat for a creature like Bigfoot to thrive, far from human interference. The remoteness of the location and the authenticity of the father and son's reactions add layers of credibility to the footage, leaving even the most ardent skeptics with questions they can't easily dismiss. To this day, the Russian Bigfoot video remains a tantalizing mystery. Whether it's genuine evidence of a cryptid roaming the forests or an expertly crafted prank, one thing is certain: it has captured the imagination of millions, reigniting the age-old question: are we truly alone in the wilds of our world? In 2016, a day meant for family bonding in a tranquil wildlife park in Beijing turned into a horrific tragedy that would haunt those involved forever. The incident occurred in a drive-through zoo, where animals roamed freely, and visitors were strictly instructed to remain inside their vehicles at all times, a rule emphasized through numerous warning signs. However, a seemingly ordinary family dispute would lead to a moment of catastrophic oversight. The day began with a husband, wife, and her mother embarking on what should have been a peaceful excursion. As the car crept through the park, tensions escalated between the couple over who should be driving. In a moment of frustration, the wife made a fateful decision. She stepped out of the vehicle to switch seats with her husband. Unbeknownst to her, they were surrounded by Siberian tigers, apex predators that blended seamlessly with their environment, silently observing from the brush. Within seconds of stepping outside, the wife was pounced upon by one of the tigers, its immense strength dragging her away from the vehicle. The horrifying attack unfolded before her family's eyes. Her mother, driven by instinct and love, leapt out of the car in an attempt to save her daughter, armed only with her determination. Tragically, the tiger shifted its attention to her, delivering a fatal attack that left her lifeless on the ground. Zoo staff acted swiftly, deploying vehicles and personnel to the scene, but the damage had already been done. The wife, though critically injured, was miraculously rescued and rushed to the hospital, where she survived. The mother's selfless act, however, cost her life. The tiger responsible for the attack was subsequently euthanized, a controversial decision that ignited heated debates worldwide about the ethics of wildlife management and human accountability in such tragedies. The aftermath was fraught with grief and legal battles. The family filed a lawsuit against the zoo, claiming insufficient measures were taken to enforce safety and educate visitors about the risks. The zoo countered by pointing to the numerous warning signs posted throughout the park, reminding visitors to stay inside their vehicles at all times. Ultimately, the case was settled for approximately $200,000, and stricter regulations were implemented to prevent future incidents. This tragic event serves as a sobering reminder of the delicate balance between humans and wildlife. While drive-through zoos aim to provide an immersive experience, they also underscore the critical importance of respecting nature's boundaries. The wife's decision to step outside the vehicle, a momentary lapse in judgment, led to unimaginable loss and heartbreak. Even years later, this story resonates as a cautionary tale, a stark illustration of how quickly life can change when the raw power of nature meets human vulnerability. It's a lesson etched into the memories of all who heard it, urging respect for the wild and the unpredictable forces that govern it.